It's the same name. It's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from drug lord to presidential candidate.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Mona Konsi. Watch.
Backstory. So the first story I did focused on his drug trafficking involvement. That was in July 2022. That on its own would have been bad enough. In any other context, that on its own should have been enough to make it clear that this person has no business anywhere near public office. This person should be buried under a prison somewhere. But obviously, well, I guess Nigeria being what it is, it
This
wasn't
is the
enough.
article, by the way, David.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
Folks,
the one.
you've got to read this. If you haven't read it, I'm sure you've seen it, but you just go and spend the time. Okay? Go in here and spend the time and read this. Look at this. There he is. That is spooky. David,
Yeah,
that is very spooky.
yeah.
That's almost like he was another person. But go on, David. Go on.
Yeah.
Documentary.
It's the same name. It's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from drug lord to presidential candidate.
Okay.
So I did that I released that in November. Now, in the same month, in November, that was the culmination of a few months of collaboration with a public interest lawyer in Nigeria. Now, what this lawyer had done is that after reading my story in July, he decided that, hey, you know what? I want to take a look at the presidential declaration of this fellow, and I want to confirm that everything he said on it is true. Now, bear in mind that the presidential declaration is supposed to be a public document, it's supposed to be publicly accessible. But for whatever reason, the Electoral Commission didn't want to let him have it, so he took them to court in August last year. The ruling was delivered. He won. So on August 15, that was the date of the ruling. INEC was forced to give him Tinubu's presidential declaration for the 2023 election. And the next thing he did was all the information on that declaration, including information about the previous companies he has worked at, the schools he claimed to have attended. He went through a rigorous process of verifying everything. So he contacted a law firm in Chicago called D. Eisenberg and Franco. And what they did was to get subpoenas issued to Chicago State University, to Richard J. Daley College, which used to be known as Southwest College, and to Deloitte, where he claimed to have made $1.8 million in salaries and bonuses.